everyone, and welcome to the For Fun of Knit podcast. My name is Linda, and I'm coming to you from South Surrey, British Columbia, and it is beautiful, sunny weather, and so this is a beverage-inspired podcast today. I am drinking what I just call a summer slushy, and it basically has Malibu coconut rum and limoncello and ice. So whatever time you're watching this podcast, first of all, thank you so much for joining me. If you're new to my channel, welcome, 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 and thank you for giving it a shot. And for those of you who know me, hello, I've missed you. I think it's been 5 weeks since I podcasted. I don't know where the time went. Anyway, this is, as you know, a knitting podcast where I share my knitting adventures. It is really just for the fun of knit. Honestly, I'm not a maker. I don't sell anything. You can subscribe, not subscribe, totally your option. However, I am going to have a little bit of a giveaway today because I hit 2,000 subscribers. Actually, I'm past 2,000 subscribers, which I never really anticipated. It tickles me. I have to say it tickles me. I don't aspire to be, the largest podcaster in the world. So just the fact that a few people keep returning every now and then to watch my podcast and share my knitting is fabulous. So thank you so much for those of you, especially those of you who leave comments. I love the chatter. I feel like I'm getting to know you. And just because, funny enough, while I live in the lower mainland of Vancouver, I don't know many knitters, and certainly not in my circle that I socialize in. So I am on the hunt for a knitting group. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to start my own knit night, knit patio, knit backyard, something. I'm going to start because I've been knitting by myself for a long time. And as you may know, because if you've been watching me for a while, my mom is a knitter, which is lovely. A little bit of a sporadic knitter. My sister is an avid knitter just like me, but she's in Virginia. So we don't get a chance to really spend that much time together knitting. We do it via WhatsApp, which is awesome. Thank you, technology. Love it, love it, love it. But we don't get a chance to do it that often. Hopefully it's happy hour wherever you are, because it's certainly happy hour where I am. Okay, too warm to wear knitting, hence I'm in just a regular tee. But as you can see, got lots of things to share with you today, and so let's get right in it, and then I'll save some more chatter for the end. Now, I have had a few comments about the volume. I have changed the settings, and I'm hoping this works, so please, if the volume isn't great for you, please be kind in your comments and just let me know, and I might have to buy a separate microphone. I'm not 100% sure. So, not sure if you noticed, but I am wearing, I'm just going to peek a little closer. Don't know if you can see these. It's Christmas in July. And yes, I am all in for Christmas in July. Some of you are rolling your eyeballs. Fine, be that way. Just don't leave. Because it's not all about Christmas. But I do love just the theme. I think I'm a theme knitter. I really like seasonal knitting and theme knitting. And I don't know about you, but I get really inspired by all the different knit-alongs that are happening. And my heart wants to join all of them. My little hands can't manage that. Not knowing that there's not enough hours in the day. And I think we're all the same. We love knitting so much that we just wish we had more time and the days were longer. If knitting could somehow be done at the same time that you're actually exercising, so that you're not sitting on your tushy all day, because that is not healthy. And that is one, I'm sorry guys, I'm babbling at the moment because it's been so long. But I have noticed that about myself. I've had to be very purposeful about exercise. So we'll leave that to the end. Sorry, I'm chattering and I'm going off topic. Let's start with finished objects. I have a few, not that many, not as many as I thought I would, but I do have a few. So let's start with la pièce de la résistance. I'm gonna take this lovely thing. Hang on 2 seconds. I'm back. I took her off Hannah because I have to show this to you. So this is the Stillness shawl, and I'm not going to show a picture, it's in previous episodes, but this is the Stillness shawl from Helen Stewart, Curious Handmade. This was her 2020 knit along, and oh my goodness, people. So this is a funny story. I'm going to stand up. I don't know if you can see, all you see in my screen is this shawl. Look at this puppy. Look at how big she is. If I put her on, okay, sorry, cackling there for a bit because you just have to appreciate the size of my Stillness wrap. What is that? What is that? Is that a stitch, bolt stitch? Oh no, that's just a very long eyelet. Oops, a very big eyelet. I'll have to adjust that. But this is my Stillness wrap. And this has a funny story. So, full disclosure, this shawl is much bigger than the pattern ever intended it to be. If you want yarn details and all that kind of stuff, previous episodes, also on my Ravelry page. I have no idea what I did. Does that surprise you? This is an adventures, the adventures and misadventures in knitting. Somehow, somewhere along the line, I was supposed to have 550 stitches. And when you're doing lace, for me, I have to put stitch markers in every pattern repeat so that I don't get lost, because I'm not a very focused person. And I mean that in the most, nicest way to myself. But I do. I'm kind of, my brain is going in a million directions all the time. And so I need to have stitch markers. My sister taught me that, to every pattern repeat so that I can check back every 3 or 4 repeats to make sure I have the right number of stitches. And then on the next row, if I'm doing another part of the pattern, if it's not working out, my error is probably confined to that one section, hopefully, within those stitch markers. So much more manageable. Love you, Clasina. Thank you. Because that saved me so much time. But in this shawl, every stitch repeat, like every pattern repeat, was 10 stitches. And I had over 100 stitch markers. 10 times 100 is not 550. I have no idea. I have tried to figure out in the pattern where I doubled up. That it is completely a symmetrical shawl. It is absolutely like there's no one section that is out of whack. Somewhere along the line, I did everything double. And I have twice as, so this shawl is like literally twice as big as it should be. I couldn't figure out why I was running out of yarn. You're supposed to use one of each skein. So one color, one of your stripe color, and one of your lacy color. And I used 2 of everything. And so I ran out of the Hedgehog Fibers boucle. So I couldn't do a full pattern repeat down there. Notice how this has got a lot more stripes than that. And I ran out of the actual Knot House Red Rock, Arizona in their diamond sock base, but so I've got like 4 rows of the Red Rock, and I happen to have a similar skein in my stash, and I talked about that the last episode. But anyway, this is Helen Stewart's double the fun Stillness wrap. So just wanted to show that to you because it is just beautiful. I love it. I'm going to wear this is a schlanket. This is not Steve, but it's a schlanket. I didn't lie the last time. Like, this is a schlanket. It is so light and so airy. And so if anyone is, you know, a little bit concerned about knitting with fingering weight yarn and thinking, oh my God, you know, it's going to take me so long. Yeah, it does take longer to knit with fingering weight yarn. But when it's lacy, oh, it is just dreamy. It is just so lovely. So very, very, very lovely. And the squish of this is just, it's brilliant. I love it. I'm just going to wear it like this. Like, honestly, it's even perfect for the summer because it's just so light and airy. Although I could probably make a dress out of it. So that is Helen Stewart's, or Curious Handmade's, Stillness shawl. Long-standing whip, complete. Very happy with that. So that is finished object number 1. Finished object number 2 is a mini me. So we're going to go from one extreme, from gargantuan to mini. So this is the Reyna Shawl. And do I have a picture of the Reyna Shawl? Let me just take a look if I can show you a picture of the Reyna Shawl. That is the Reyna Shawl. Hope you can see that. Just some garter and some eyelets, and it's by Nora Backlund, and it's on Ravelry. It's a free pattern. It's a free pattern. And I was looking for patterns for one skein shawls. And I did this as a test, believe it or not, because I wanted to participate in the Across the Pond shawl make-along. Because who doesn't need, you know, another shawl? I wanted to participate in the make-along, which is one part. But I also wanted to have some shawlettes. I mean, I love a big shawl, like a wrap, you know, for the winter. But in the summer and the spring or the early fall, I might be wearing a little bit of a jacket or something, and I get a little cool, and I just want something around my chest for when it's a little bit breezy, or even in the summertime when you rip into the supermarket, you know, the grocery store, and it's air conditioned, and you're wearing a tank top, and then you get chilled because you're, you know, buying frozen fruit and ice cream from the freezer. So I just wanted a little something. And so I wanted to test a one skein shawl. So the one that kept coming up was Reina. And so I tried it, and this turned out beautiful. Let me take this off. Hang on a second. Let's drop this puppy, the schlanket. Let's drop the schlanket. We're dropping the schlanket. Okay. Dropping the schlanket. This is the Reina, which is a one skein shawl, and however big your skein is, you can make it. Now, I followed the pattern exactly, and yet I don't have as many eyelets in mine as the pictures on Ravelry. So I think that must be just maker preference. You can make this a lot less dense by putting more eyelets in it. And I will make this again, and I will do more eyelets, because I think I like that lacy openness. Eyelets are so easy to do. So if you've never done lace work before, don't worry about it. Eyelets are just wraps, you know, wrapping your yarn around. And you can see that you get this really nice open lacy thing when you do the wraps. But I think I would like more. So I'm glad I tried this. I don't know which is the right side. I can't see without my glasses on. But anyway, this is the Wool and Frog Carol from Calgary's yarn. And this is in the Party Sparkle colorway. And I hope you can see how much fun this yarn is. It's actually a sparkle, so it's got stellina in it, and it is so fun. What was very interesting about this shawl is that when I knit it, I thought, so I finished it. It was very easy to make, and it was 38 inches long and 17 inches deep. And I thought, there's no way that is going to fit anything. Why bother? Because that is not going to fit. When I blocked it, and I mean, I did not aggressively block it. Nope, I did not aggressively block this at all. It ended up being 60 inches. So it went from 38 to 60, and then from 17 to 25. So it is the perfect, and I am a triangle shawl person. My sister prefers a crescent shape. She doesn't like having all this bulk right here. She prefers to wear a shawl like a shawl, whereas where I get cold is right here. This is, even in the summer, I'll get cold right here. So for me, wearing a jean jacket, if you saw my Instagram photo, my very first jean jacket, I know, late bloomer, very first jean jacket, but that is perfect for me. So I love a triangle shape. Doesn't mean I won't knit a crescent. But now I am on a mission to knit, because I have lots of yarn, so many more one skein shawls. Fun thing about them, you get to choose your prettiest, skein. Because how many of us have curated all our yarn and we have one skein wonders? Just yarn we fell in love with, but we only bought one skein. Why? Why do we ever only buy one skein? Well, now you have a raison d'etre for buying just one skein. There's a lot of patterns of one skein shawls on Ravelry. This one is a free pattern, so that was fabulous. So I'm going to knit some more, and maybe I'll do an episode just on one skein shawls once I have a bit of a collection. But love this. I recommend it. Knit away. And the Across the Pond knit along is hosted by Ruth Loves to Knit out of Devon, and her name's Ruth. Hi, Ruth. And Fernanda, who is in the United States. Can't remember where she's from. I want to say Florida, but that could be totally wrong. From the Monkey and Me podcast. Monkey and Me. I think it's Monkey and Me. Yes, I think so. These monkeys and me. Oh, I'm gonna have to edit that at some point. I was trying to not edit this podcast, so we'll have to see. But the Monkey and Me, Fernanda, they're having a joint knit along, and it goes from July 1st cast on to September 30th, I do believe. Now, I think I've selected my pattern. I'm just working on the yarn, so we'll talk about that a bit later. So that was finished object number 2. Last finished object, I think it's the last finished object. Hang on, I think I need a little limoncello boost. Oops, condensation on the bottom of my glass. Okay, the pattern, you have to make this. If you do nothing else with your knitting, you must make this pattern. You don't have to, but I'm highly recommending it. If you are a beginner knitter, if you want to make your first sweater, this is the sweater for you. And yes, it's a cardigan, but it's so freaking easy. This is the Homeschooler. I hope you can see that. The Homeschooler, the Reluctant Homeschooler cardigan by Caitlyn Hunter. And she's done it in just just a speckled one color bulky weight yarn. I wanted to do this one because I wanted a quick knit after the shawl episode. I wanted a quick knit. And I did have bulky yarn, but I didn't have a sweater's quantity of any one kind or any one color. So I just started pulling, and I've used almost all of them now. I started pulling, and you've seen this on Instagram if you follow me, but I started pulling all of them, the bulky skeins that I had, and these are 1 and 2 skein collections that I had, and I made, look at this baby. I will stand up and show you a little bit about this if I can. Sorry, guys. So, this is my Reluctant Homeschooler cardigan. And, oh my gosh, I'm in love with this. I hope you can hear me. Sorry, the volume might be a little bit wonky, but I finished this in mid-June. I have worn it every single day. It has become my house coat, my gardening coat, my go to the grocery store coat, everything. And so let's talk about this particular pattern. Based on my size, I'm a 40-inch bust. I chose to make size 4. When I started knitting it, I did a little bit of a gauge swatch, not much. The pattern calls for a size 8mm, which I think is a US 10. I could be wrong. An 8mm needle. Too loosey-goosey for me, so I went down to a 7. So then I had to do all the math and figure out the number of stitches, and thank you for all your comments on my previous videos about gauge. I did the math, it worked, and the number of stitches I needed based on my gauge with a 7mm needle meant that I had to make a size 5. So I had to go up a size, and it was almost like the perfect stitch count. Amazing! So that said, because everything is an adventure or misadventure for me. So that said, I cast on, so I love this pattern too because the sleeves come first. You do the sleeves all the way up until before you're about to join them. So you do both sleeves. I did both sleeves on magic loop together, 2 at a time. It was awesome. Yeah, I had a few yarn balls going all over the place, but that's what I did. And I cast on for the size 5 sleeves. So I did the sleeves in size 5. Yay. Not a problem. I thought that was pretty good because I like a little bit of room in my sleeves. Do I have maybe a little bit too much room? Maybe, but this is like a house coat, so not to worry. And then I knit the sleeves and they were perfect. And I did 10 rows in bulky weight yarn on a 7mm needle. You cast on with a 5.5. I left the cast on needle the same. So 5.5mm to cast on. And then I moved to a 7 for this. So I cast on for a size 5. 10 rows is 2 inches exactly for me. So this was very easy to figure out where I was. And I knit to about here. So here's my sleeve. I knit to about there and wasn't sure I was going to have enough of this yarn to actually do the body. So I stopped about here on both sleeves and then I cast on for the body. Typical Linda. Don't ask me where my brain was. I cast on for a size 4. So sleeves I cast on for a size 5. Bottom I cast on for a size 4. As it turns out, super glad I did. Because my gauge swatch didn't really work. Look at how big this thing is. I mean, there's tons of room in here. It's supposed to be bulky. It's supposed to be big. But I got lots. I mean, here's me. I mean, here's me and I got lots. I got lots. And I haven't put the buttons on yet, so the buttons are coming. But I didn't realize that I had cast on for the size 4 because I highlighted on the pattern size 4 when I was originally doing it. So while I was super attentive with the sleeves, casting on a size 5, which I'm glad I did, they're super comfortable, I cast on the body for a size 4 and just started knitting happily, and halfway up I realized, oh my god, I'm knitting a size 4 and I have size 5 sleeves. But misadventure turned out totally fine. And I did end up running out of this lovely yarn right about, so what I did is I knit the sleeves to about here, and that was the actual original sleeve length required in the pattern. But I wanted to make my sweater about 5 inches longer. I wanted it to cover my bum. I will make a shorter sweater. I'm totally comfortable that way. So it wasn't about my body shape. It was just that for a house coaty kind of feel, I wanted it to be, have it to be mid-thigh. So, my hair's going all flat and wonky. I don't know why. Oh well. I wanted it to be mid-thigh. So, I got to here, and about mid this magenta color was where the pattern was supposed to end. And I wanted all this extra. So I added, maybe it was only about 4 inches. No, it was about 3 inches, I guess, different. Did I only add 3 inches? Maybe I only knit 3 inches, but it grew. Whatever, it worked out. And so then I had to realize, okay, well, I needed an extra stripe. So I was able to finish this stripe in both sleeves and the body. And then I did another stripe, and that's where I joined for the sleeves and the body. And then it's simple. Like, this is top down. The body is bottom up. Pardon me. The body is bottom up. And then your sleeves are already done. It is brilliant. I love that methodology. Not that I've ever really had a sleeve island problem, but I have to say it is kind of nice knowing that this is done. This is done. Because Magic Loop is great. I love Magic Loop. I fully recommend Magic Loop, but it's not as pleasant to knit as just going around, or I didn't even mind the back and forth in this. This was totally fine. So then you join the sleeves. Then she has these beautiful raglan increases, and let me see if I can show you. Like, I love the way, and I'm going to take it off because I don't want to get it hot. These raglan decreases, that's what they are. Look at the raglan decreases. What a beautiful pattern that makes on the sleeves. I thought that was very well done. And look at the back. I just got to show you the back now. Sorry, I'm all over the place. She has you do decreases in the back as well. I don't know if you can see that. Hopefully, I think you can see that. And this is nice because I had a lot of fabric in between my shoulder blades before these decreases, and I was a little bit worried. I was starting to do some math about how to, reduce the decreases, but she took care of that for me by doing this, and it's very beautiful the way that it blends in. It adds a nice pattern detail. So I really love that. Then, that's all I had left of the magenta. Then you pick up stitches for the ribbing. It worked brilliantly. It was exact. I had no issues with it. I made the buttonholes. Where are my buttonholes? I made buttonholes. Worked perfectly. I've ordered buttons from Etsy. So that say for the fun of knit on them. Hokey, I know. But I thought, what the hell? Why not? And I even knit the pockets. The pattern is supposed to have the pockets. So the pockets are supposed to go kind of, hopefully you can hear me, but the pockets, are supposed to go, they're mismatchy, but I like it. And I want the pockets on it. I do want the pockets on it. Misadventure in knitting. I have tried 3 times to sew, graft, whatever, these pockets onto my sweater. Nope. Looks terrible. They're either crooked or one's, and I'm like picking the same line or whatever, or it's puckering, or I've got holes, and if anybody has a great tutorial suggestion on how to, and I don't want to top stitch because that looks horrible. I'm trying to, sew it. Anyway, Caitlyn Hunter does recommend a video on how to sew on pockets. It didn't help me. Did not help me at all. Ooh, excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. Did not help me at all. So I'm considering this a finished object because all it needs is buttons. I would love to sew on the pockets, but if the pockets don't ever make it onto my sweater, I don't care. I love this thing. I'm making another one. I got to make another one. I just have to figure out which yarn. And I have a lot of worsted weight yarn, not bulky yarn. So I'm going to do that and probably knit another size 5, but in worsted, and maybe that'll take care of some of this super, super oversizedness. But there you go. Okay, so that was my finished objects. Notice there wasn't a sock in anywhere to be seen. Very strange. It's been a couple months now. I'm getting worried about my sock mojo. Because I love socks. And I need more. I've only got like, I don't know, 15 pairs of socks. That's not enough. That's nowhere near enough. Okay, let's talk about works in progress. Okay, I'm getting too hot. Okay, next thing that goes off. Getting too hot. Okay. Works in progress. Where do I want to start? Works in progress. Where do I want to start? Okay, my works in progress are socks, as you know, because I've been doing socks. I've been doing socks. So these socks, I don't know what it is about these socks. I'm so close. Come on. I'm so close. You would think I could finish these. I mean, I love the color of them. This is a Sassy Strings yarn. It was a yarn club of the month, and I think it was May 2020. Can't remember what it was called. I lost the band. Oh, I lied. Nope, that's not the band. That's someone else's band. How about this one? Is this the band? No, that's someone else's band too. Is that the band? Yeah, no. I've used 2 other ball bands to hold my yarn. But it's a beautiful, beautiful, absolutely lovely variegated yarn in plums and pinks and grays. And it's just a beautiful colorway. And I'm just doing, great way to show you socks. I am just doing a 3x1 rib, 3x1 rib, vanilla sock. This is the Shadow Wrap heel, which worked really well. I'm very happy about it. It took me quite a few tries to get that right again, but I did that and it's worked perfectly. Very happy with that. I just have to finish them. What is with me? So that's one work in progress. And this is in one of my the Woolen Frog bags, my travel bags. I love that. Carol, thank you so much. That is great. The other work in progress is, oh, where is my other work in progress? I'm missing my other work in progress. Never mind. It's another sock pattern, but I will show that to you on another date because I will just show it to you on another date. The next work in progress, again, very late to this party, Andrea Mowry's The Shift cowl. And this is an out of the blue knit, not something I was planning to knit at all. But when my sister and I went to Maryland Sheep and Wool, one of the booths, remember I was telling you about how rainy it was, and that we felt all those, you know, vendors that were in the tents in the outskirts deserved a little love because it was so muddy and so stormy to get over there. So we left the main barns and we went to one of the, all of the tents. We went to all of them. And she ended up buying 3 skeins of very beautiful yarn that were sort of color changing type of yarns. And they had the Shift as one of their demo projects. And so she bought the kit for that, or 3 yarns to go and to make that. And so I just asked her the other day, well, what are you knitting? She goes, well, I'm going to cast on the Shift and here are my colors. And I'm like, oh, I think I have something that might work. Let's knit it together. And so we are knitting the Shift together, even though she's thousands and thousands of miles away. And these are my colors. Okay, these are Cascade 200s, I think. I'll get one of the ball bands if I can find a ball band. I don't know if I have a ball band in there. But these are the colors that I am shifting. Don't you love it? And do I have ball bands? Okay, so one of them, it's Cascade 2020 Superwash, sorry. Cascade 2020, this is deep stash stuff, man, deep stash. And this is the magenta one. Does it have a color? No, it doesn't. Oh, Waves, this is Grapes. This is the Grapes colorway. That's this one. This is the Grapes, Cascade 2020 or 220. Dear Lord, Linda. This one that has oranges in it as well is called Unicorn. Love it. So this is Cascade 220 Waves. Got to get those yarn names right. Sorry about that. And this one is called Deep Sea. Very lights and darks, variegated teal. So this one is a little bit more muted. So I'm using those, and I am just starting section 3. And there is my shift cowl thus far. I'm loving it. It's so much fun. It is so much fun. Mine's curling. I hope that's going to block out. Because it's an I-cord on one side. And this is such an easy pattern. And this is, again, you know, I meant to do this with Kelly and Noelle on the Knits and Pieces podcast. They had a shifty. They had a make-along that was all about this pattern and any version of the Andrea Mowry shifty patterns, but I never got around to it. And so I'm doing it now, a little late, but doing it now with my sister. And so this is, so color A is my magenta. The grapes is my color A. The unicorn, which is it just changes every other color, is my color B, and my tealy one is my color C. And so it's only 3 colors, and you don't have to do it with a color changing yarn. I think this would work really well with any color yarns that you want to pair. And it's DK weight. So I think this actually might even be worsted weight. It doesn't really tell me, but because it feels heavier than DK, but maybe that's because you're slipping all the stitches, so it's making it double. But DK weight at the minimum is what this pattern calls for. But loving it. It's so much fun, and it's done on a 4.5mm needle. And I'm using my Lysic needles. Don't ask me why, because that's the only 4.5 I had left. Otherwise, I'd be normally using Hia or Chaigu. These are my only Lysic needles that I have. But there, loving it. And I love the colors. I think that'll be nice. Makes me really want to make a sweater in this darker teal. A darker version of that. And I have that in my stash. So, have to give that a go at some point. So that is work in progress number 2. Work in progress number 3 is somewhere. And work in progress number 3, where are you working? Okay. So as I have talked about in the past, I am trying to get through my long-standing whips. And in the spirit of Christmas in July, I am working on my Astreaus. Do I have a picture of my Astreaus cardigan? Do I have a picture of my Astreaus? I do somewhere. Hang on a second. Let me just find the picture for you. This is the Astreaus pullover by Meghan Regan of BAdWolfGirlKnits. Love her stuff. She's a color work aficionado, and she has some really great themes, and all her color work is very manageable. She has some great Halloween ones that I'm going to try and make at some point in my life. But this was meant to be just a 2-color color work, and I decided to try and make it a Christmas theme. I don't know what I was thinking. So I've got red, and I've got green, and I've got icy throne blue, and then I've got, this is called transmutation. It's a purple. Let me see if I can just show this to you a little bit more clearly. So the red is BlackCat Custom Yarns. Actually, they're all my colorway stuff, colorwork stuff is BlackCat Custom Yarns in different colors in their Stellina base. It's called their Blingtron base. So I've got a red, a green, a blue. The purple, I remember it's called Transmutation. Don't ask me. And then a butter yellow that I'm pairing with just a little bit of mohair to give it a little bit of fluff. And I have just separated for the sleeves. So I started this as a test knit. This is one of those test knits that I overcommitted. So I don't test knit anymore because that's me. I've got the guilt that I feel if I don't make the deadline. It just takes all the fun out of it for me. So this was a 2020 project. I'm pretty sure it was 2020. Yeah, it was 2020. And I let it sit after the purple for 2 years. And so now, long-standing whip, I have done just an inch more of the color work. And this color work is probably going to go to about here. So I've separated for the sleeves, yay. And then the body is, again, very easy pattern. These are, hey, exposing my floats. There you go. How nice my floats look. My floats don't look too bad, do they? I have no problems. I don't have to go up a needle size because I'm a very loose knitter to begin with. I don't have to go up a needle size when I do color work. I tend to just stretch the stitches back before I loop my yarn. And I also catch my floats every third stitch. So if there's 7, I'm catching it in the middle. If there's 6, I'm still catching it on the third stitch. If there's 5, I might not, but sometimes I do, depending on the weight of the yarn. I will catch in the middle, catch the yarn in the middle stitch. But this is going to be, I'm going to amend the pattern just a little bit. I want this to be a cozy, Christmassy sweater, pre-Christmas sweater, because let's face it, the background is black. Pre-Christmas sweater, and I want it to be long with a split hem, so I can wear leggings with it. Like this is going to be like a sweatshirt, a Christmassy sweatshirt kind of thing. So that's my intention, because I have a lot. I just realized I haven't been telling you anything about the yarns. I might go back a bit. Bear with me, because you're probably going, Linda, you didn't tell me anything about the yarns. Okay. So I'll tell you about these yarns, and then I'll go back to my sweater. This is just Plymouth Yarn Company in their DK, worsted, pardon me, 100% merino worsted in black. Nothing, so this is a commercially dyed yarn. And all my other ones, so these are all like, this is transmutation, this is frozen. I do not know what this one is called or this one is called, but these are all Black Cat custom yarns. So out of Chilliwack, BC. And love it. And it's progressing. It's a fun knit. I like doing color work. I don't know what took me so long with that one, but I'm back at it. Let's just flip back, and I apologize. Let's just flip back quickly and talk about the yarns for my cardigan. Yeah, there you go, squirrel. So let's put this back on. You're not having deja vu. There we go. So my bulky yarns, this blue, I have no idea what it is. It's just a medium navy blue. I don't know where I got it. I had one skein. That's it. This blue is from Lily and Pine in her bulky oak base, and it's called Guernsey. So I love that one. That's all I have left of it. I had 2 skeins of that. The gray, which is a beautiful speckle, I hope you can see that, is from Tofino Knit Company in the Sea Lion Chunky. So I was between bulky and chunky. In the colorway Abalone. That's all I have left out of 2 skeins. Because this had, they all had about 100 to 110 yards per 100 grams. Then we have, I love this, Lily and Pine, pink elephants. I have a little bit left of this. Oh my God, 2 skeins, but that's all I have left. Pink elephant. She doesn't dye this anymore. Lily and Pine. Oh my goodness. Please bring pink elephants back. I want to make a whole sweater just in this. It's just gorgeous. It's just gorgeous. And then the actual magenta, I don't have any more left. I knit it all, like literally knit it all. And it was Over the Moon yarns. Over the Moon, so Caitlyn and her mom, Over the Moon yarns in No Pink Stars. Sorry, my camera almost went out. So this is Over the Moon yarns in No Pink Stars. Now, interesting, I only had it in her Asteroid Erin base. So I held it double, which is why I only had one skein of it. Did I have one skein? I had two skeins of it, I apologize. And I had to hold them double, which is why I didn't go very far. So that is the yarn for this beautiful sweater. And this is all I have left of it, of the yarns. So, hey, I don't know what I'm going to do with the little guys. Maybe make a hat or something, but love it again. So that was between this one, work in progress, and my shifty work in progress. My shifty is held in my Stitching the High Notes bag. My Astreaus, Christmas Astreaus, is held in this bag, and I don't know who this is by. Oh, that's terrible. Is there any indication of who this is by? The knitting bag of PEI. Yes. Oh, I love her. I love her bags. The knitting bag of PEI. Christmas in July. Perfect. And what else do I have? I think that is it for works in progress. And now, before I get on to just, I've got some acquisitions to share with you. So now would be a good time if you want to take a break, if you want to grab a drink, if you need to take a bio break, because I've been going on for a while now. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Okay, but before I get into acquisitions, because hopefully, well, actually, I'm not going to do next coming up knits. I'm going to do next coming up knits, and then I'm going to do acquisitions. But before I do any of those things, I want to show you, and I did show this on Instagram. This is another finished object, sort of, not really. But I went gnome crazy. So this is May. That's how long it's been since I podcasted. But this was Gnome is Where Your Hat Is. And I finished this puppy just out of scraps. So this is Imagined Landscapes. And I've gotten on the gnome bandwagon. But look at this. Isn't this cute? Now these are the leftovers of the yarn that I knit my Raise the Woof sweater from Casapinka. But I had all these leftovers, and look, you actually knit a sweater. Look at him. That's the body of my gnome. And I actually had to knit a little sweater to put his arms through. So you knit little arms. So this is a totally separate sweater. Talk about going down a rabbit hole. But I absolutely love this. So that's one guy. And then the May Gnome Knit Along was with Ancient Arts Yarns and Imagined Landscapes. It was a collaboration. Actually, she had lots of different yarn options. But these are my Make No Mistake gnomes that I knit out of Ancient Art Yarns. Actually, it's a combination of yarns, I should say that. Because these are all from my Christmas minis. So this was my Woolberry minis. And this is Tio Pesto gnome. This is Nononico. He's my Ancient Arts colorways. And this is Papa Gelato. There you go. I love them. Anyway, they're so much fun. So this is a fall sort of themed one, and this will come out for my Christmas decorations. But I knit 3 at a time just because, hey, I went gnome crazy. What can I tell you? It was a lot of fun. If you never knit a gnome, like I need any more stuff hanging around, yeah. We're just going to go with that. So let's talk about next things that I would like to knit. And thank you if you're still with me. I appreciate it. Okay. So Christmas in July theme. I want to make a gift for my mom. Hopefully she doesn't watch my podcast. So Mom, if you are watching my podcast, turn off this part because I don't want you to see this part. So I am going to knit my mom for Christmas the Embers shawl. And this is also going to be entered into the Across the Pond knit along. But this is the Embers shawl by Lisa Much. Is there another pattern that might give you another picture view of it? And I am going to do it in a combination of yarns. So my mom loves lavender. So I have this beautiful Ancient Arts, oops, put it that way, Ancient Arts Nettle Soft DK in the colorway Lavender Cupcake. Oh my God, look at that lavender cupcake. Hopefully you can see that color. And what I like about Nettle, oh, I don't have my glasses, so sorry if I'm squinting. But what I like about Nettle Soft, first of all, this is super soft to the skin. Super soft. There's no nylon in this. So this is a more environmentally friendly option. And they do their Nettle Soft in a fingering weight, and they do, like, it's called the Little Nettle Soft, or Little Nettle, in the fingering weight for socks, but they also do it in DK, and it's just squishy. Really beautiful. I would like to make a whole sweater. I'm trying to find the right colorway for me. But this is going to be the main color, and then you're supposed to choose, I do believe, 4 different minis. So I'm trying to use some scraps. So I have this beautiful Zen Garden colorway remnant. I've got 20 grams of that. So that's going to be one. I have remnants of the German yarn that I bought at Barcelona Knits in this beautiful navy. I can't remember what the colorway was called. It was a very... I couldn't pronounce it even if I tried. Then I've got this beautiful lighter purple, and I have no idea who this is from, and there's no yarn tag. I gotta get better at that. But again, a remnant from something. Don't remember what it is. And then, last but not least, I'm gonna break into a, that's a Duke hair. I'm going to break into a skein of Malabrigo's, this is Plomo, in their washed, it's a DK. So it's a single ply DK, it's a DK, worsted, it's a single ply worsted in the Plomo color, which is bluey gray. So it's got sort of like purpley, blue gray tinges to it. So those are the colors. And I'm going to do all of it to soften it all up with Knitting for Olive mohair, silk mohair. So it's going to be light, fluffy, lavender, soft. Even though I've got some bold color in it, it's going to soften up with that cream mohair silk all over it. So that's the Ember shawl. So I am going to cast that on. Yay! For the Across the Pond. The other one I want to do is the Float shawl, and let me see if I can, and this is for me, if I can find that pattern. I don't know if Float. Okay, this is the Float by Dawn Baker. And this is something I want to knit. I don't know who was knitting it. It might have been Ruth. Ruth, were you the one knitting the Float? I can't remember. One of the podcasters I was watching knit this, and it's called the Float. And it is assigned pooling technique. And so this is something I wanted to try because I have all these interesting skeins where you just knit garter or knit whatever, just knit until you get to so you got to use a variegated yarn until you get to a certain color in your variegated yarn, and then you do this little stitch. So it could be a butterfly stitch, it could be a bauble, it doesn't matter what it is, but you only do that when you get to this little section of color. And I thought that was really interesting because it makes it fun, right? You can't wait till you get to that next color so you can do another something, whether it's a butterfly, bauble, eyelet, whatever. And so that's called assigned pooling. So I wanted to try that approach, and I just haven't selected the yarn for that one yet. So at least I've got one project for the knit along, but I haven't got a project for me. More to come. So that was the two next things on my needles, and I'm trying to get through my long-standing whip, which is of course my Astreaus pullover. So acquisitions. I know. Funny thing about knitting, and we've all talked about this ad nauseum, but knitting is not one hobby. Knitting is like 5 hobbies. Knitting is just shopping, retail therapy, shopping for yarn. Then it's about, what did I write down? Hang on, I wrote this down somewhere because I thought this was 5 different hobbies of knitting. So I actually wrote a note. Can you believe that? And I can't read it without my glasses. So shopping for yarn was one. Oh yeah, the other one, displaying. Oh no, displaying. How you display your yarn in different containers. I've got a glass jar over there full of, you know, pretty yarns, and I got a couple of buckets, and just how you display it. So displaying to me is a second hobby. The third one is pattern collecting. So pattern collecting for knitting is part of the knitting journey, absolutely, and it's a hobby all on its own, because not only do you look at patterns, but then you either stick them into your save favorites or you actually buy them. And if you're like me, I have 59 shawl patterns that I have bought. I have not knit 59 shawls. So, note to self, Linda, use the patterns. I think that was one of my resolutions. Knit the patterns, or intentions for the year. Knit the patterns that you've bought. Color pairing. So just going through your stash and looking at which yarns would go well together, like all those one skein wonders that you've bought. I can spend hours looking, okay, well, this one could go with this one. And so I actually could do a project with 2 skeins. Oh, well, what happens if it was a gradient? Do I have some one skein wonders that I could put together for a gradient? Do I have, you know, skeins that I could do a fade, you know? So that's the third one, or the fourth one is color pairing. So pairing the yarns with each other. Then there's the actual, and part of that is then pairing the yarn with the pattern. So looking at the patterns and figuring out what yarns might pair. So that's all pairing. That to me is a separate hobby. Then there's actually the knitting, which is the 5th hobby. So you've got shopping, displaying, pattern collecting, color pairing, and actual knitting. So that's 5 hobbies. There you go. Organizing and storing your yard is administration, and I don't like that part. But I do have to do a better job I have to start taking pictures of all my yarn and putting it on Ravelry. Because part of me is thinking that I need to destash some. Yeah, I'm starting to think that I need to destash some of my yarn. I just have no idea how to do that. Because I don't want to, like, I'd love to be able to offer my yarn out, but I don't want to pay for the shipping. So I'm not too sure how to do that. If you have any thoughts, let me know. Let me go. So let's talk about acquisitions, which is the first hobby, the retail therapy of yarns. So Noelle and Kelly, if you're watching this episode, and I'd be honored if you did. Yeah, I broke down and I bought Holst Garn Super Soft in the plaster colorway. Kelly, Noelle. You both have this. And I bought the Titicaca, so the alpaca. So I bought enough to make a couple projects. So thank you very much for enabling me. But I broke down, along with a lot of your other Knit Chat Night groupies as we are. I just thought you'd get a kick out of that. If you have not checked out Knit Chat on Tuesday nights with Noelle and Kelly from Knits and Pieces podcast, we have a huge group now. It started with a handful of us, and now it's grown to, I think, like 200 and some odd people check in pretty much every Tuesday night. And we're texting each other, you know, commenting to Kelly and Noelle. You know, they're sharing all their knitting and having conversations, and they draw you into the conversation. So they're looking at the notes as best they can and including that in the conversation. So it's a lot of fun. So if you don't have a knit night like me, it's a great, great alternative. And thank you, ladies, for hosting that. I can't thank you enough. It's a lot of fun. So that was acquisition number 1. Acquisition number 2, and this is not something I've done in a while, but I joined a yarn club. And it is Laura from Campfibre Yarns, Canadian dyer. And I am doing her monthly club, and I have to say I'm not disappointed. This is the first one I got. I can't remember what month this was. This is Mojito Mist. And I chose the DK option for a change. So these are all superwash, 85.15. Because I want to try DK socks, but also there's some nice patterns for DK shawls as well. And I could even do a sweater if I can get these One Skein Wonders into a gradient or some sort of color work. I don't know. But this is Mojito Mist. Look at how pretty that is. And spoiler alert, this is Frozen Peach Smoothie. Frozen Peach Smoothie. These are absolutely gorgeous. I always find when you're looking at yarn, just looking at them skeined up doesn't do it justice. You have to actually pull it apart and really take a look. Look at her beautiful speckling. So this is just a gorgeous. Look at that. Look at those hot pinks in there. See, that just gives me all sorts of Imaginarium kind of ideas. Oh, love this, love this, love this. And this is the DK weight. I think it's too freaking pretty to put on my feet. So love this. So I always recommend, you know, like when you get a yarn, or if you're at I don't know if they'll let you do it. Actually, you know what? That's a very good question. I don't know if you're at a yarn festival, if they will let you unravel their skein just to sort of, you know, take a look at it. That's a very good question. If anybody knows, comment. I don't know. Do they let you do this? Okay, this was that Mojito Mist. Look at this. This is why I like to unravel them, because look at the depth of that variation in speckles. Look at how pretty that is. Laura, you do a great job. Look at that. Oh, I just love, love, love. Look at that. Lots of different options, and that just gets your color creative juices going if you can really take a good look at it. And this is why this is a hobby. This is a totally separate hobby. Just to look at it, squish it, and imagine what colors might go well with it, what pattern would really bring it out the best. Oh, I lost my ball band. This is why I also lose ball bands. It's underneath my chair. But that was Laura from Campfibre Yarns. Another one of my favorite dyers, and I'm going to have to look this up for you because I have a very specific pattern in mind. Sweet Skein of Mine. And this is her DK Teddy Bear Boucle in tickled pink. I know. Tracy, looking. Yes, the beautiful, beautiful hot Julie tones. But this is tickled pink. And this is such a cool yarn. Like, I've never knit with it before. I'm going to try and pull a piece out for you. But I think I might have shown it to you before. I don't remember. But this is boucle. It's a, that doesn't show a very good piece of it. Oh, no, that wasn't the yarn. That's why. This is the yarn. Can you see that? Look at how lovely that is. But what I want to make out of that, some of you might recognize that yarn anyway, but give me 2 seconds to look it up because I have a very specific pattern in mind, but I have to look it up. It's an Andrea. sorry, looking down. Ah, there you go. This is the pattern that I have earmarked for that yarn. Morning Rituals by in the very, very near future. So those were my acquisitions. And now I wanted to talk a little bit about some new podcasts. Just some of the things. I love podcasts, and I love the podcasting world just because I learn so much. I meet so many. I don't actually physically meet people, but I just, by listening to the podcast and watching them, I feel like I get to meet a lot of people that have like interests. And so, hey, that's one of the things I like to share. So 3 new podcasts, and I specifically like looking for new podcasters because while I have my trieds and trues, I just think it's nice to see how many people are trying it for the first time, and quite often I end up subscribing to them because they're fantastic. So the first one, now this person probably needs no introduction. Her name is Leanne from Calgary. She is the Knitting Stew, and you have probably seen her. She's got quite a huge following already, but she is a flight crew member for one of the Canadian Airlines. She does the domestic route, and she likes to show a little bit about the city, you know, her layovers. You know, if she's there for enough time to actually get out, do a little bit of touring, she'll show a yarn shop or tell you a little bit about the town, which is kind of fun, as well as she's a very accomplished knitter. So it's fun to watch her. Again, that's the Knitty Stew. Another one that's really, really recent is Knit Sit Happy. Nancy from Knit Sit Happy. And she's just on her very first episode. And she has shown some great, first of all, she's a very, very good knitter and likes to knit. Actually, I don't know that she likes to knit it, but the very first episode, she showed some very, very high quality, fine knitting. And this is one of the things I love about watching different podcasts, because you'll get pattern ideas and you'll see a pattern that they've knit that you might have looked at on Ravelry and not really given much thought to. The you know, looking at patterns, sometimes the photo shoot doesn't really resonate with you in terms of, do I want to knit that pattern? It's only until you go through Ravelry and look at everybody's different versions of it, or if you watch a podcast and somebody displays it, you go, oh, that actually looks really good or really different than what I thought. And then all of a sudden you can see how that pattern might be great for you. Well, Nancy did that for me with the Naveen. So it's now in my queue. So Nancy, if you're watching this, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Knit, Sip, Happy podcast. The last one I want to highlight is 3 lovely ladies. Congratulations for joining the podcast world. Is Tammy, Claudia, and Janet from, actually I don't know where they're from. I think they're from Ontario. I could be wrong. But Tamara has followed me for a while, so I am so thrilled you guys are doing a podcast. I watched it. What a hoot. Awesome. 3 of you together. Great chemistry. Wonderful knitting. Check them out. They are called the Wool and Wine, just Wool and Wine podcast. And a great, yeah, I'm so excited for the next ones. So I'm excited for all 3 of those. So if you are looking for a new podcast, please check them out. They are wonderful. I also highly recommend Ruth Loves to Knit, as always, and all of our staples. Of course, we have some amazing staples. Another one that I have recently watched that I really enjoy, because don't forget my heritage is Dutch and I just love everything Europe. And I want to say her name is Marlene from Holland, and her podcast is Sunny C Knits. And she does a version in Dutch and she also does a version in English. So fabulous. Thoroughly enjoyed those. Anyway, so those are the podcasts that I wanted to share. I shared my yarn with you. And last but not least, if you have stuck it through this far, Thank you. Wow. Big virtual hug. And now, giveaway. So this is going to be a random comment generator. What should we comment on? Let's think about that. Okay, I had to think about that for a second because typical me didn't really come up with a thought around what we should do for the giveaway, but I have one now. So this is the giveaway. 2 beautiful skeins from a BC dyer, Kelsey of K-Zip Knits, in the spirit of Christmas in July. This is her mulled wine colorway, and it is, where are my glasses? Sorry. Guys, it's not age, it's just my eyes. It's called her Shoot, as in C-H-U-T-E, Shoot Lake Fingering. So that's a place, Shoot Lake. It's 100% non-superwash, so it's non-superwash. So I like that. And it is Falkland Merino. And it is her mulled wine. And if you can see it, it is a variegated. No, it's a tonal. It's a tonal, and it's got some a little bit between the orangey reds and the blue reds, which makes it very versatile. I love it. And I'm giving away 2 skeins, as well as a Christmas themed stitch marker from Tockinsby, from Tockinsby. Anyway, so this is, she's got an Etsy shop, Alexandria. Her name was Alexandra Tockinsby, her Etsy shop. So this is the giveaway, and the comment is new to you podcast. So just leave a comment that starts with new to you podcast, and tell me, share with the group what podcast you've discovered that you think we should take a look at. New to you. So, and it could be if the grocery girls are new to you, you can put that down. But new to you. So certainly trying to support the podcasters out there that are just starting their channels. And again, if it's new to you, it's new to you, whether they've been around a long time or not, doesn't matter. But hoping to just share some of the love around the podcasters that you look at internationally. Doesn't need to be Canadian. But certainly happy to share some of the Christmas in July festivity and goodiness with you. So just leave that comment, and we'll do a random comment generator on the next episode and give away. So this is a total of 880 yards. 880 yards of Christmas themed yarn. So hopefully you can make some Christmas gifts out of it, and or make yourself something really lovely. And I love the fact that it's non-superwash. So on that note, everybody, thank you so much for joining me, and subscribe if you want to. Not necessary. The only reason you would subscribe is if you want to find out when I do another podcast. But other than that, thank you so much for sharing this time with me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next couple weeks. Take care.
I remember when I lost my mind. There was something so pleasant about that place. Even your emotions have an echo in so much space. And when you're out there without care